Hey guys, coming against me another movie for guys. Now this movie we're reviewing, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. A lot of movies that I review, I'd be like, oh, I really wanted to see this, or this is one of my most anticipated movies. This was a movie that I was hoping would be very good, but I actually really wasn't that looking forward to. In fact, I would say I went into this movie kind of blind, actually. Blind because I saw trailers. I did talk about trailers for this movie. I did react to trailers, but I didn't remember them really at all. And that movie is Sicario. I saw Sicario today, and I just really want it to be great. Obviously, it's Denis Villeneuve. He's made two fantastic movies, two amazing masterpieces that are just phenomenal. Definitely phenomenal. Both of them are fantastic movies. Prisoner's Anatomy, if you haven't seen them, watch both of them. They're both great movies. And I was hoping this one would be great. The trailers, though, really made it seem like it was going to focus a lot more on action than it was on story, and it really seemed like Denis Villeneuve was trying to turn to less of a thriller director and more of an action director. And I'm happy to say that Sicario is not like that at all. Sicario is one of the best films I have seen all year, and it is a film that I think has a lot of potential to get some Oscars, and definitely shows that Denis Villeneuve at this point really can do no wrong. I will say, though, that I do think this is his first film that's not a masterpiece, and that's mainly just because of one small complaint that's really not a complaint at all. But let's get to the plot of this movie, which the plot of this movie is very interesting. Basically, there's this girl, Kate Macer, who she is this FBI Special Weapons and Tactics team agent, and she basically is enlisted by a government official to join this mission to track down this drug lord and basically do something she's never done before, and basically that's what the plot of the movie is. That's really my only flaw of the movie, is that the plot is very generic. We've seen this plot a million times. Oh, you have to go after this drug lord. It's not so much about the plot, though. It's more of what they do with the plot and how they make us care about this plot. And they show why this movie is as important as it is, because I feel this is one of the most important films I've seen all year, definitely, and I'll talk about why. First of all, the acting in this film is some of the best acting I have seen all year. This, honestly, might be Emily Blunt's best performance. I'm being honest with you guys. Her performance as Kate Macer is fantastic in this movie. First of all, the environment of this movie, this is a world where crime is at an all-time high, and even police are doing things that are kind of unjust, and Kate Macer is just not used to this at all. She kind of is like, she's kind of us in the movie, we kind of see things the way Kate does. She's being thrown into this world and basically experience things she probably should have never seen, and this is, you've seen in the trailer, she says, this is not my department. She means that. She's not used to going after a drug lord. She's not used to experiencing these really violent things, and she just did an excellent job portraying the raw emotion this character goes through. This character doesn't get a second to breathe in the movie. Honestly, throughout the entire movie, she is just not knowing what to do. She's thrown into this, but she knows that she has to, impress these people, and she has to fulfill this mission, and she has to get it done, even though she really doesn't want to. And I found her character to be probably one of the most compelling characters I have seen all year, and definitely Emily Blunt needs to get nominated for an Oscar for this movie. Definitely, I have heard talks about it, and yes, definitely, there was definitely a scene in this film where you feel so bad for her. There's so many scenes where she breaks down, and yes, someone could be like, oh, that's a bit over the top. I didn't see it as over the top at all. Let me ask you guys a question. If you saw, picture you are this, FBI, task person. You go after some people, you take down some criminals here and there, but you're never really had to do something that gruesome. Now you're thrown into this world where there's gunshot every 5 seconds, there's blood splattering all over the place, people are just getting shot at one by one by one, and you're seeing some really disturbing things. Obviously, you would react in the biggest way possible, because I think, some people may say, oh, it's stupid, but I think she just sees that these are humans that they're killing and that this is actually happening, and that she's like, oh shit, I'm part of this, and I don't really know what to do here, and it's very interesting to watch her go through this. Her transformation in this movie is incredible, and she really does an excellent job in this movie, especially a scene in the beginning. I don't want to spoil what happens in the beginning of this movie, But wow, right in the beginning, this character doesn't get a break to breathe, and she just did an incredible job, and I really, really admired her character in the movie. She was incredible. However, the best performance in this movie comes from Benicio del Toro. Holy shit, the character of Alejandro Gillick is probably the most menacing, just overall disgusting character I've seen. Yes, the character Whitey Bulger right there. The character I'm seeing, Whitey Bulger, is menacing and violent, but you know what he didn't have? Humanity. Alejandro Gillick has humanity, but the thing I love about Alejandro as a character is how gruesome he is. I mean, he does some things to certain characters in the movie, and I don't want to spoil what he does, but there are certain things that he does that probably would be viewed as unjust or, you know, a bit over the top or just a bit too far. I mean, there are so many scenes in the movie where I'm just like, hey, can you please calm down a bit? I mean, he is big on violence, he's huge on interrogation, and he was just incredible in this movie. Truly something remarkable, and definitely should get nominated for this role. But the thing I love about his character is that while he's doing all these terrible things, you understand why. He has to fulfill this mission, and he can't make this not gruesome. He has to do it this in a certain way, even though you don't really want to see it. That's kind of how things work. I mean, sometimes you have to do some things that might be seen as inhumane, but that's how you have to deal with it. And I really love about his character in the movie. He understands that, and I thought he was great in the movie. Josh Brolin was not as good as Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, but still did a very good job at this character of Matt. What I love about the character Matt is that he actually added some humor to the movie. He was actually pretty funny at points because this character doesn't give a shit what you think about him. Sometimes he doesn't wear shoes, sometimes he's just very strange, and he's a very interesting individual that I found to be very, very funny, and I actually really liked his character in the movie. And I thought he did a very good job, and definitely definitely worked very well with the other two characters. I didn't think he was as good as he was in Everest, but he still was very good here. Victor Garber's really good in this movie. And also, the character of Silvio, the drug lord they're going after, I don't want to spoil something, but in the beginning of the movie, they actually kind of get you to care for this character, which I thought was very interesting. And Maximiliano Hernandez does a very good job as the character of Silvio, who is the drug lord that they're going after. And he kind of portrays a drug lord, you know, he doesn't exactly portray this drug lord in the way you think he would. And I'm not going to spoil how. I'll talk about when we get to spoilers, because I'm talking about spoilers for this movie. Definitely I'm talking about spoilers for this movie. Because I really want to, and he did an incredible job. Okay. The directing by Denis Villeneuve, as I said, my biggest complaint, my biggest, worry with this movie is that he was going to focus on action and less on characters. And I'm happy to say he doesn't do that at all. What he does do is give us one of the most gruesome worlds I've seen all year. I mean, this is probably the most gruesome world that I've seen in a movie since Mad Max Fury Road. The difference is that what happens in Sicario is actually happening today. Things like this happen every day. The FBI have to go after a drug lord. That happens every day. And I don't know if it goes exactly the way it did, but it seemed pretty realistic, and Denis Villeneuve's dark tone of this movie, you're kind of feeling like Kate throughout this movie. I mean, you don't get a second to breathe, and that's something I thought he did very well. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time in this movie, and I'm not gonna lie, you guys, there were parts where I did not want to look at the screen. I didn't. It's one of those movies where it's just like, I don't want to see that, but then you come to realize that that's what the point of the movie is, that it shows you things that you probably should never see, but it's showing it to you because that's what happens every day, and because that's what the job requires, is for you to do these things that are just sort of not humane and kind of just over the top, and that you probably would never see in other films. And I like how unapologetic his directing was. Definitely, if I had to pick a film that was unapologetic, and this film is definitely gonna get some controversy, okay? I don't think it has, but I think it definitely will. Just because of the amount of violence in this movie, I could definitely see people attacking this film. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing that they're attacking this movie. I think it's kind of stupid if they do, because, they're just kind of telling a realistic story here. But I could see people attacking this movie. I really could. And wouldn't be surprised that happened. The screenplay in this movie is great, but like I said, my only complaint with this movie is the story as a whole is interesting, but we've seen it a million times. We've seen it a million times. They do stuff with the characters, and that's something I thought was really great here. Because the movie is less about just let's take down the drug lord, and more about how the characters deal with this and how we overall are dealing with this. And that's something I thought was definitely very well done, and I really liked in this movie. And I have to say, this is probably the most intense movie I've seen all year, maybe even more so than Mad Max Fury Road, because Mad Max Fury Road, the entire movie is intense. There's action scenes every 10 minutes in that movie. There are times to breathe in this movie, and Mad Max Fury Road there was as well, but there's more time to breathe in this movie, and the thing I love about this movie is that there was a point in this movie, and it was around, I'd say, toward the, it was around, like, a second before the third act, and there was a point in this movie where I'm just like, I have no idea how the fuck this movie is going to end, and I absolutely love that. I don't want to know how movies are going to end. I want to be surprised by movies. I want to be on the edge of my seat. I want to be worried for these characters, and that's what this movie did. I had no idea what was going to happen at the end of this movie, and that's something I thought was very well done, and I definitely really enjoyed that. And I also really love seeing the different values that these characters have. I mean, some of these characters really don't have morals. They're kind of gone, and it's mostly because they've just seen these things, and it's kind of affected them. And Kate has not seen these things, and she still has her morals. Like I said, it's basically if we were to go out into the world not knowing what we would experience and basically having to deal with this. And these are things that government and police officials, they have to deal with all the time. And that's probably, when you hear a police officer tell a story, you just wonder, why doesn't this get to them? Why aren't they affected by this? Because they've dealt with it before. They're used to it. It's sad, but it happens. And this movie isn't afraid to tell the truth. And I really love that about the film. And the writing was just so sharp. It was so intense. And there is a scene toward the end of this film that I found very, very unconventional, and I was very impressed by, definitely. I will tell you guys, though, that I can't tell you how this movie ended. I can't, and I'll tell you why. Like I said, there are certain parts of this movie I didn't want to watch. Well, I glanced away for a second, not because something intense was happening, but I looked down for a second, and the next thing I see, the Sicario title pops up. So I don't know how this movie ended. I wish I could tell you how this movie ended, but unfortunately I can't. If you guys want to tell me how this movie ended, that'd be nice of you to do. I heard that this movie ends in a very unconventional way. From what I saw, I really love the ending of this movie. But, and I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about the climax. I'm talking about the final shot. I have no idea what the final shot of this movie was. I don't. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't know how the movie ended. I'm sorry. I know it's ridiculous, but that's the truth. I glanced away for a second, and I'm sorry. I'm human, okay? Forgive me. I do things. I sometimes miss things, and that's exactly what happened in this movie, is that I miss things. Which kind of sucked, but that's what happened. The cinematography is something else I was really looking forward to, though, in this movie, because it's Roger Deakins. Roger Deakins is by far the best cinematographer working today, and yes, he was perfect for this movie. This is not Mad Max Fury Road cinematography. It's not. It's not some of the best cinematography I've ever seen in my life, like Mad Max Fury Road is, but it is amazing cinematography. It is telling a real story. It is intense. It's realistic. And like I said, it's a dark film. And it's not afraid to be dark. And some of the ways they make you feel intensity in this movie is just through certain shots. And there's a scene with night vision lenses. So intense. I didn't know what was going to happen in that scene. That's something I thought was very well done, is the way the cinematography actually went with the intensity and made you really upset about what was going to happen. That's something I definitely love in the movie. And this is a movie where you constantly don't know what's going to happen, like I said, and I thought the cinematography was very well done in that regard. The score as well, by Johan Johansson. I think he's done Denis Villeneuve's other movies. One of the best scores of the year by far. Such an intense score, such a gripping score, had me on the edge of my seat so much throughout this movie, and I thought the score really went very well with the dark, grim tone of this world, and that's something I thought was definitely very well done, and I really enjoyed that. The editing as well. This movie flew by for me. It's dark, but I was into it the entire time. There was not one point where I was not into it. Even those points where I said I looked away, I was still very into it, and it just went with how into the movie I was. I was surprised by how into this movie I was. I was completely into it, and I definitely really did love that. I also like that the movie used subtitles. I know that's a small thing, but I don't know if you guys know, but this movie actually is in English and Spanish, and I thought that was well done as well, and that's something I also very appreciated, and I thought that was also very well done. And now I do want to talk about one quick spoiler, because I want to talk about what I think is my favorite scene in this film by far. If you guys have not seen Sicario, again, I don't know how this movie ended, so I'm not going to spoil the ending, because I don't know how the movie ended, because I looked away for a second, I don't know how it ended, so tell me how it ended if you've seen it. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it right now, because it's one of the best movies of the year. And now I just want to talk about the scene that I felt had the biggest impact on me. Okay. What I love about one of the things they did in this movie is that they introduced the character as Silvio, but you don't realize this guy's the drug lord yet. They introduced him before you realize this is a drug lord. You know, it's kind of like, who is this guy? Why are we caring about him? And you care about him right away. You know, you see he has a family of his own. He is a very good family man, and he's kind of caught up in this drug cartel. And it's actually, I felt very sad for Silvio when he got shot. You know, you could tell that he felt really bad about what he did. Obviously, he got caught up in this. Things just got really bad for him. And when Alejandro shot him, you know, there really was no other way for this to end. You knew that they were going to kill him. You knew that there was no way they were going to, especially because the way that Alejandro was, you knew that there was going to be no other way for him to get out of this but for them to kill him. You knew that. And I knew that that's probably what was going to happen to him, but at the same time, I had some hope. After he killed his family, I thought I was going to spare him, but no, he kills his family and then kills him, makes him go through emotional trauma and then kills him. It's like, where is this guy's backbone? Like, seriously, where does this guy stop? He just goes around killing the family and then he kills him. It was pretty insane, I have to say, but I like the way that film made you connect with this character because they're all human. Silvio just made a mistake and got caught up with this drug cartel by mistake, and that's something I really loved about this character. He's supposed to be the villain of the film. I honestly would say the villain of the film is just what's happened in the world, is the world basically, and just how dark everything is. That's what the villain of the film is crime. That's really what it is. I would not say Silvio's a villain in this film at all. That's something I definitely really appreciate, and I thought was very well done, definitely. I do know that the film, Kate did get away. I know that, but I don't know how the final shot of this movie. The last thing I saw, Kate was, like, smoking a cigarette. That's the last thing I saw. So, I don't know what else happened, but if you guys can message me, I would definitely very appreciate that. But overall, guys, Sicario is simply one of the best films of the year. I really want to give the movie an A+, but it wasn't an A+, you know. For me, the only thing that keeps me from giving this film an A+ is, like I said, it's nothing new. It did new stuff with the plot, but the plot as a whole was very generic, and that's kind of what keeps me from giving it an A+, but I am still going to give Sicario a 4.8 out of 5, or an A. Sicario is simply one of the best films of the year. It will for sure be on my top 10. I absolutely love this movie. One of the biggest surprises this year by far. I absolutely loved it. If you guys have not seen it, check it out right now because it truly is a fantastic movie and really shows that at this point Denis Villeneuve can do no wrong. And as long as Roger Deakins keeps doing the cinematography and Johansson keeps doing the music, Denis Villeneuve is going to be on a fantastic streak, and we're always going to be, looking forward to this movie. He's never going to disappoint us, which I think is awesome. But that's basically my review of Sicario. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you guys saw this movie, you have seen it, please see this movie. It's really incredible. It's very unsettling. I will warn you guys, this is not a movie for people that don't like looking at gruesome things. This is definitely not a movie for the faint of heart. But that's basically my review. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for, and I know it's taking me a while, but it will be for my review, Heroes Reborn, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.